be able to live in the country that you want to. I think that's important for all of us. And she does immigration for people looking to come to the U.S. as well as she's certified in the EU. So if American citizens looking to live abroad or understand the requirements and immigration requirements living abroad, she has a long tenure of helping people immigrate to Germany and other European Union countries. And I know that's starting to be a trend here in America. Definitely, I wish she was here, but our baby was sick and she wasn't able to come. So today, my presentation is on how investors are today assessing risk in startups and how you can take this information, if you have a startup today, how you can take that information and get a higher valuation. That means more money for your startup. And it's been proven that these, and I've talked to multiple investors and asked them lately, is this something that does that actually impact the bottom line of how much you guys are investing in a company, or if you guys invest in one company versus another? And it does. The cybersecurity posture is actually something that they're not really caring about as they look at investments. I've been in IT for about 20 years, and I was in the U.S. Army as well. As I said, my wife was originally part of this as well. We have 3 children and 2 dogs, and we own a couple of businesses together. I'm also an executive at Unit 221B, which is a cybersecurity company that provides cybersecurity services and consulting services to enterprise companies. So one of the most significant things is that a cybersecurity impact for a startup can be heavily damaging. You have a small reputation, but that reputation is huge to you. Having a ransomware event where they post your client list public, you have to notify your clients, right? The reporting rules, if you have clients in North Carolina or Delaware, they become very strict and stringent. And so now you really have to worry about, even if you're a small company especially, right? Somebody, you find coming in the morning and your point of sale computer has ransomware on it. You really need to start worrying about what is the actual impact of this and what do you have to start notifying people about. You can't just reinstall the computer and everything's okay. You really have to actually talk to your customers. You have to notify the government, and there's quite a lot that goes into what's going on. So what we're going to cover today is what can you really do to start building key areas of cybersecurity in your startup. These are, I believe, quite actionable, right? And these are the key areas that I believe, and I know from talking to investors, that they really do care about and the things that they really want to know. I work at Blackstone, they're a private equity firm. I've worked with other PE groups as well, and I talk to them regularly about what it means to invest in a company, what they're doing about their portfolio security, and that's where this information comes from. So this comes directly from, what are they looking for in a company? This is what you need to be doing. One of the key areas that's going to really be able to make you guys, come back from a ransomware event or any kind of security incident is making sure you have backup copies of all your information. For a lot of companies, this can be as simple as order lists or contact information, emails, things that have, your things that you put together, proprietary data that you've made. It doesn't have to be absolutely everything for a small company, but even making sure you do have a backup of it is heavily important, right? Even in a disaster where we live in Florida, there's another hurricane, your office gets flooded out and all your computers are damaged, right? That for a small startup or a business, that could be disaster and be the end of the business, and that could have been all of your life savings going in. So make sure you have a backup at your house even, right? Keep a thumb drive with all of your important documents of the company at your house, right? Maybe if you have a co-founder, they keep another copy at their house, right? And that way you know that if anything happens, you can make sure you come back.
Question.
Yes.
So would you suggest not doing hard copies, but do on a thumb drive is the best way of having backups?
I would say that, obviously I think paper is, a great backup copy, and if that's what you have, it's not the worst case, right? We've seen a company that, relatively large, they lost their entire customer database. That their product relied on querying the customer database for the product to function, which is pretty common. And they had to, they had 1,000 customers. They had to re-put in all of their start dates, all of their customer access information back into the database from a fresh brand new copy because they didn't have backups of that one thing. So, but they had paper versions of it they were able to go through. So I think, make sure you have it somewhere in some form. The worst case is you have to, and the actors are targeting SaaS platforms. So they are targeting, HubSpot or Salesforce, right? They're going into the instance. There was recently with Salesforce or HubSpot, they were in an instance where they went in and they were creating a new organization within your account. They were exporting data from it. They were deleting your account data. These are things that are happening today. So, a lot of startups are using tools like HubSpot, using tools like Salesforce to do marketing material. So it's not just the bigger companies that could be impacted by this. This is now anybody. Another thing is definitely make sure you're ready for this, ready for the event to happen. I think a lot of places are say I'm too small for this to happen, but I think that when you're too small for it to happen is when it can impact you the most. Right, your money's on the line generally, right? If it's your own company, right? You're worried about what could happen, and you're very vulnerable. Any small thing like your customers being all of your customer information deleted for a month. You can't service any of your clients for a month. You may actually, the company may implode because you may be living off that, month-to-month paycheck from the company. And so that's why I really you want to make sure that you're ready for it. Again, this can be as small as talking to somebody, or this can be as big if you have a larger company, making sure that you have a company that you talk to that can support you during a cybersecurity incident. We at Unity 221B, we provide cybersecurity services to startups where we are able to do retainer hours for them. And this is something where they can have us on the ready to talk to them, be on the phone, midnight on Friday, helping them recover so that they're able to understand what they're doing, and by Monday morning, they're actually in a place of understanding. One of the key areas I think is almost really very important, I think that the private equity firms are also really caring about, is just training your employees. And there's tons of cybersecurity material for free out there. Most of the cybersecurity companies are offering free cybersecurity training. There's free stuff on YouTube. Just having your employees be aware of the cyber, about, hey, this is what a phishing email looks like. This is what, this is what a malicious document may look like, or what it may ask you to do, right? You open up a Word document from a business partner on a regular basis, right? Somebody sends you a Word document, you open it up, you start editing it. If that now has macros in it and it asks you to enable something, right? It's kind of like a red bar at the top and asks you to enable it, right? Don't do that because that may be bad, right? And these are simple things I think all companies can, use free resources for, provide to their, employees, and that protects you that much more, and they're able to make sure that that's your first line of defense is your employees against there being a breach. One of the things that I think is also really important is just making sure you have any protection on your computer, right? Microsoft has Defender, comes for free with the device. Make sure it's enabled. If you have a company that has more data, or you looking to be more secure, obviously there's other vendors out there. They're definitely more cost prohibitive, but there are for Microsoft there are free solutions. Make sure those things are enabled. Make sure that you're doing your updates. That is at least the first basic line of detection, and it's going to stop a good number of threats. We regularly test Microsoft's products at my job. We go up against it regularly, and it stops threats, right? So this is really something that, at a minimum point, you're going to be making sure you have the protections enabled, know what it's doing. That's a good starting place. Microsoft obviously offers different licenses that you can purchase directly for them that can enhance the security as well without having to really have an IT security person. You can just purchase the product straight from Microsoft and have it enabled. So how does it? So all of this together. This is what investors are looking for. This is what they are asking questions. This is before they invest in it. This is the things that they're going to ask you about, and they're going to ask if you are doing. They're not doing them, and all of them may not result in you not getting investment, But what I definitely know is that if you are doing all these things, you're that much more favorably looked at. Because your company's already thought of the things that they're gonna be asking about. They're gonna send you a questionnaire before they even invest in you. Asking all of their due diligence questions are gonna be covering these exact topics and making sure that you've thought about them. So that these are, if you can think about them now as you're growing your company, or before you start looking for money, these are what they're gonna start looking for. And this is how, if you're an investor, these are the things that other investors are looking at their companies for. And this is what you're gonna be able to track a real investor with. So the key aspect here is that, I think for any company, cybersecurity is crucial. It doesn't matter how big or small you are, you can use cybersecurity to your advantage, and it definitely, not only is there a monetary gain from this for you, but there's also the fact that, you having a secure company means that your product is longevity is there. As we said, the key parts in doing those things, like the backups, having, protection on your endpoints, these are just parts of the puzzle that when you put them together, this is what makes a good company. This is what, top tier Fortune 100s, these things that they've gotten, very good at. Like they're at the world class level, or they're top of their vector for their company. Any questions?
One question.
Yes.
You had mentioned ransomware.
Yes.
So let's say that happened, do you pay it or do you not pay it? How does that work?
Yeah, so we definitely do not recommend paying it. I think if you want a great example is United Health Group. They got a ransomware attack. They paid that ransom. The ransomware took the money. They had multiple affiliate partners that they were working with on the bad guy side, and one person just ran away with all the money. So you have 7 other people saying, "Where's my money?" They went back to UHG and said, "We're going to still uphold our portion of the ransom. We're still going to put your data out to the public because we didn't get the money." So even though they paid, it didn't matter because you're working with criminals and they just stole the money and ran. So like, first of all, FBI says you're not supposed to be sponsoring terrorism. You're not supposed to be sponsoring, global war. That is exactly what you were doing if you paid it. Do not pay the ransom. Have the backups. Make sure you can get your data. I'm telling you, you can explain to your customers, you can tell them that you've done, if you get ransom, go do these things that are in the presentation, and then tell your customer, we've done them now, and I promise they're gonna be much more happier with you than if you paid it and tried to cover it up, because it's not, they're gonna be happy that you've actually now taken those steps. Any other questions?
So there's no way of fixing it or stopping it, you just gotta start over.
Yeah, having the backups, having, the information, if you have your customer, information, or if you have, your call list or your email list, right? Let's say that was on a file on your computer, or the login to all of your, social media stuff was in there, right? Like your password, passwords were in there. Make sure you have those backed up. Use a password manager, something that stores in the cloud, right? Otherwise, right, they'll offer you to pay it and get the data back, right? Maybe smaller amounts for a smaller company, but in reality, you are, the FBI's put out very specifically that you're funding terrorism with that money. So.
Well mentioned. I work with Andriy at a cybersecurity company. There are services being developed, including our team, like a beta service of like a ransomware vaccine. So it's a software you can buy, put on your systems, which will get hit with ransomware. But it automates backups for you, and that way you have like that proactive plan as well, and there's other options versus don't pay the ransomware and they've got the data and I don't have backups. This thing is at least keeping you, more up to date, so you have some sort of game plan, and including all Andriy's steps, then you're like a full covered plan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. If you have any other questions, we're at booth 101. I'm more than happy to speak with everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.